Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's West Ham Weekly. I know it's Tuesday night, but when I have to go to games and go abroad and all this sort of stuff, I don't have any time to actually put the show together. So my apologies for being a day late, but you know what I'm like. Anyway, welcome. Thank you all for joining, and we're going to go through the past week. I'm going to look ahead to the Europa League again, aren't we? I'm going to talk a little bit about Lyon later on in the show. But what a monumental week it's been. I mean, it's not even been a week, has it? When we had that fantastic night at the London Stadium, it was absolutely superb. Now, I know we had a bit of a blip in between. Let's not worry too much about the Spurs game. Let's just focus on the fact that we're through to the quarterfinal of the Europa League. Through against a very good team in Lyon, who I believe the manager was not putting us down, but seem to be rather confident at the fact that we're playing them rather than anybody else. Well, mate, good luck to you because you're going to need everything you've got to actually beat us the way we played at the last Thursday. I'll talk about the Seville game in a minute. I'll talk about the Spurs game very, very briefly. I don't want to upset you all, and I'll also bring you updates on all the various things that have been happening in West Ham over the past 7 days. So you've got the under 23s, the women's team, the under 18s that have all played games, and then there's quite a lot of information and updates about players. Players on international duty, players on loan, players. Who are injured, maybe coming back from injury and stuff like that. So there's an awful lot to talk through. So let's first of all say hello to those people in the chat room tonight. Good evening, Mr. Epic. You made it here first, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Father Snowman, now known as Buffalo Snosy. I hope you're well. Pash, how are you? Good evening to Will Stelbit. Wow, I think I was on time. I was on time, wasn't I? I think that's not bad for me. Good evening, Paul. How are you, mate? Much appreciated for you joining. Good evening, Amarette. Thank you for joining as well. Black Country, how are you? Good evening to you, Sharky. I hope you're well, mate. Uh, no, I was early. There you go. There you go. You're gonna have to get used to it. I might start coming on early every week now. Good evening, Mandy. Lucky, I just now browse you. Have you not got me on have you not subscribed? You would have got an automatic alert. Come on, sort it out, Andy. Good evening, Jeff. How are you? Black Country. Two. I think I was on time. Good evening, Trini. How are you, mate? Much appreciated for you joining. It's either weather bear or isn't a curfew with neither. I'm turning a new leaf. I want to sort of, turn up on time for a change. If I say 9, I mean 9. If I say 8, I mean 9. If I say 7, I mean half 8. Chris Biggs, how are you? Stars one is late by 1 hour, still late. I'm not in Europe. I mean, it is UK time, so I think I did all right. Good evening. And me, yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Daniela. How are you? I'm very well. How's life with you? Nice to see you joining in. I hope you're well. Who else have we got in the chat today? Good evening, Howard. How are you? To all the beautiful people. Oh, you ought to see some of their faces. I'm only kidding. Chris, Spuds are celebrating as if they won something. They're forever in the mud. Mate, the way they were jumping up and down with joy, you thought they'd won the league. Honestly. And then they tell us it's our cup final. God, embarrassing. Mark, hi to you, mate. And the Sevilla Slayer. Good evening, Mark. How are you? Thanks for joining, mate. Good evening, Peter. Nice of you to join as well. Good evening, Hammerwell. All the familiar faces. I like that. Andy, how are you? Nice to see you, mate. Good evening, Kimbo. Good to see you. Mandy Spurs trophy cabinet featured in that film. Downsizing. Good evening, Anil. How are you, mate? Have a good show. You're not staying. I mean, you might hear a lot of good stuff, but then again, you might hear me just wobble on, rabble on for a while. Conan, how are you, mate? Would you rather have Phillips or Rafinha? Phillips, to be honest. I think Rafinha blows hot and cold. I think there's better attacking players than Rafinha. He's like, he'll be all right 1 minute and he won't be the next. Good evening, Dabs. How are you? Hoping for a Masuaku masterclass against Spurs. This style could look an idiot. You know that weren't going to happen, don't you, mate? Good grief. Good evening to you, James. How are you? We're all happy. Forget Sunday. Forget Sunday. We're all happy. Sarif, how are you? Galispera to you as well. From a yeah, I know. I've heard it's pretty bloody cold over there, isn't it? What part of Cyprus are you at, mate? I've heard it's pretty because we were talking about maybe going over soon, and I'm thinking, sod that. It's warmer in London than it is over there. Good evening, Mike. How are you? Only Stel could be 5 minutes late and say it was a Sharky, you expecting Spurs fans to come on? I hope she's not because I haven't invited any of them. Sod that for a laugh. I don't think. What did you say? Get ready for a massive. You know what? I'm not going to go overboard. I really ain't. I'll say my piece, but I'm not. I missed the intro, probably for the best. Do you want me to play it again? Hang on, Julie. Hang on a minute, Julie. I'll just show you, just very, very quickly. There you are, Julie. Did you see yourself? You were jumping up and down with joy. That was our little Julie there, who was clapping away, jumping up and down. There you go. That was just for you, Julie. She's gonna hate me now. Mandy, Phillips or Socek? Oh, both. I'm a greedy bastard. Richard, it's snowing here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What's going on in the world? Good grief, snowing in Mexico. It's another place I'm not going to go to. Mark, minute late, son, but a bit like West Ham's transfer bids. Fair play. Daniela, I am still being taken a rest from football doing fair play, Daniela, but thank you for joining and supporting tonight. Yeah, sometimes things in life you got to sort things out before you worry about football. Absolutely right. Good evening, Trev. I'm listening in tonight, but won't be able to chat after this. Working, unfortunately. No problem, mate. But thank you for joining. Good evening, James. How are you? Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. I don't know what's going on there. Hammerette, what have you let yourself in for now? Supposed to be a heat wave in the UK next month. No, heat wave as from tomorrow, Dabs. The next 3 days is going to be really hot. Going to be walking around with a t-shirt. Sarif in Limassol. Nice part. Good beaches. Good evening, Hamza. Thank you for joining, mate. Thoughts on Ben Rama? I'm going to talk about Ben Rama, actually. I'm going to do a small feature on him. So you're going to have to hang on in there, Hamza. Don't just walk away. You're going to have to watch half of the show before I get to him. Julie, I'm still suffering from my celebratory antics. You did all right, Julie. You did all right. And it was great to have you in that good spirit. Howard, loving it, HH. What have you done to everybody, Hammerette? Rural, quiet, loads of space, huge space. Oh, you're somewhere, right? Red Kites, Kestrel Bar, the daughter on I love it. Where are you, Howard? Chris Biggs. Moy should go for Dennis, Saar, Pope, Cornette, Phillips, and me instead of Tarkovsky. Calm down, people. Let's talk about transfers another time. We've still got a season to finish. Sharky, Suchek, Rice, Phillips, we will win the league. Julie was mental, wasn't it? Ticket booked. Lyon ticket. Are you going to Lyon? Are you? Oh, interesting. Chris, Sarif from Trimic. Can't even bloody say it. Trimiclini. Not sure if you know it. In the mountain. Is it near Kakopetria? Because that's where my mum's from, Chris. Dabs. If you take Son out of Spurs, they're an average 8th place team. Yeah, I agree. Good evening, Vinay. Listening, and I think we will win the Europa League, which means Arsenal will be 4th and will not be in the Champions League. Who gives a shit about them? Pash, who spotted Reguilon's cheeky slap on Creswell's face just after the song nearly got killed by football? Oh dear. Regulion or whatever you call him and so on, they're an embarrassment. I mean, the way they were jumping up. He went for a penalty, didn't he? He was going after a penalty. Devon, good evening to you, mate. Would you be happy to finish top 8? Yes, if we win the Europa League. How about that? Good evening, Stuart. How are you? Evening all. Evening, Stell. Good evening to you, mate. FA Cup final, Mr. Bean. Train ride isn't happening to London, so there is Liverpool, Man City. Stuart, I love you, mate, but I have no idea what you ever talk about. So there you go. Chris, the audacity Spud signing West Ham get back, singing West Ham get back. Deluded fan base couldn't even progress in the Mickey Mouse League. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Let's not worry about them. Let's not worry about them. Anil, we have finished 6th or above. Anything below would be disappointing. I disagree. Although I would like to finish sixth or above, but if we finish in top seven, still European football ish. Hamza, any Chelsea players you fancy? It would be a possibility. Um, one or two. Let me have a think. Mason, get him over. Make Declan happy. Lyon game becomes fastest seller in Hammersmith. I know, sold out or virtually sold out. Virtually sold out. Good evening, Jovi. How are you? Thanks for my pleasure, mate, and thank you for joining and supporting. Really appreciate that. Dabs. At the end of the season, we'll be laughing at Spurs when we win the Europa League and get Champions League. This is all what it's all about. Mike, evening still on everyone. Just cooked Cyprus style kebabs for the family. Now I'm here. Hope you well. Oh, I'm jealous. I'm very well, Mike, and I like to come out of Cyprus and taste those kebabs. Scott, is it a bird? Is it a play? No, it's me, and I was on time. Good evening, Ashley. Chelsea needs the catch. Chelsea need more than cash. But anyway, Mason Mountain debt. Exactly. Right, let's get on with the show because we've got a lot to go through. I'll come back to your comments and everything later on. Do slow down. It takes me forever to go through them. So let's start with the main part of the show. I teased you a little bit there because I'm not going to talk too much about the Seville game just yet. I will get onto it, but I'll talk about it more in depth later on when I do a bit of a special about the Europa League, the Seville game, and then our next opponent's Lyon. So let's just crack on and get the worst bit out the way, shall we? Let's just get this out of the way, have it done with, and talk about the Spurs game. Right. So as we know, usually in goal. In the Premier League is Fabianski. Not a great game. But then again, not everybody played that well against Spurs at the weekend. I think we kind of, we had a good spell part of the second half. But all in all, it was a bit of a lackluster display all round. But Fabianski was back, and I guess the rest of the team almost picks itself these days. We got players on the bench that maybe Moyes. I think a lot of people were talking about, if we wanted to sort of freshen it up a bit, there were one or two players that I only played a part of the game against Seville on Thursday, or they didn't play any part, like Noble, Diop, Vlasic. I was actually really surprised that Fornals what was left on the bench. Even Yarmolenko. There were 3 or 4 players that, if Moyes wanted to keep it a little bit fresh, then there was a few players that he maybe could have picked from the squad that we have. But he went with what he went with, and dear old Arthur was in the first 11, and God knows how, God knows why. But let's not complain. When you see a team from David Moyes these days, you try not to criticize because of what he's done, and especially after Thursday and the way we got through that round and played so brilliantly against Seville. You don't want to criticize, do you? You feel almost embarrassed to criticize. But how Masuaku got in the team, God only knows. But anyway, Masuaku was in the team. We kind of understood what Moyes wanted to do. He kind of wanted to match Spurs like for like, and it didn't work. I'd rather we play our own game, and let's not worry about, let's not give too much credit to the likes of Spurs and teams like Liverpool, etc., etc. Because most times it backfires on us. And the fact that we try to match them like for like, having 5 at the back, etc., kind of weren't right for me. It just didn't work. Anyway, and we soon found that out on the 8th minute, didn't we? Dear old Mass. He didn't let me down, did he? He didn't let me down. He proved why he's not good enough for the Premier League yet again. It was not the first time. It won't be the last time. He's done it time and time and time again, where the irony of the song, never gives the ball away. Oh, well. Anyway. All right. I know that there was still a bit of play to go after Masuaku lost the ball. Ball had to go into the box, etc. There was a bad deflection of Zuma and so on and so forth. But it was Masuaku who put us in that position in the first place and put us under pressure. And on the 8th minute, we were beginning. I certainly was beginning to wonder: are we going to get back in this, or are we going to make a game of it? And we didn't, did we? Because they went 2-0 up, and we did start to worry. We started to think that maybe this could be an avalanche of goals. But Benrahma, he had an excellent game. If there was one player that had a really decent game on Sunday, it was Benrahma. Much maligned, certainly by the manager of late. But the way he got that ball, the way he struck that ball from a corner, it was a fantastic goal, and that should have given us the spark. And we had a little bit of the better play thereafter, but we just, we gave them too much space. We backed off them, Song and players like that. They were getting an awful lot of space to play their game, and it was a shame. But we call it fatigue, and so on and so forth, and perhaps that's what it was. We just weren't at the races at the weekend, and many fans been moaned the fact that we didn't strengthen in the January transfer window. But I just wonder, even if David Moyes had the opportunity of bringing another couple of players in, it feels to me that he'd still play the same players and then give certain players like Masuaku the opportunity to completely fuck it up. Anyway, the embarrassing moment, of course, was when this man went down like a ton of bricks. I mean, come on. Kurt Zuma was nowhere near him. All he did was kick the ball. He didn't kick Son. He was nowhere near him. He kicked the ball towards Song. It hit the back of Son's legs, and he went down as if he'd just been sniped. What an embarrassing moment. Because you know what? I actually like Son as a footballer. I think he's class. He's a really good footballer. I won't lie to you. I wouldn't mind having this sort of player in my team, because I think he's a great goal poacher. He's fast, he's energetic, etc. But he does that. And when he did that, he falls down in your estimation, and the fact that he plays for Spurs makes it even bloody worse. All right. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about Spurs, because I don't want to go into one, because I want to be happy, because there are an awful lot of happy things to sort of look forward to. Anyway, fixture changes. Because of the Europa League, our progression into the Europa League, and because of the greed of the television companies, we've got quite a number of changes in our schedule. Next up, after the international break, is the 3rd of April, 2 p.m. Again, we host Everton, and of course, Big Fat Frank. That'll be an interesting game, won't it? Fuck me, we better win that one. And then we have our first leg against Lyon in the quarter-final. Look, read that properly, people. UEFA Europa League quarter-final first leg, West Ham United. There you go. 7th of April at 8 p.m. And then we're back at Brentford a few days later. The 2 p.m. kickoff now on the 10th of April away to them. And then back again for the Europa League quarter-final second leg on the 14th. Now, I've been led to believe, well, I've read that it's at 9 o'clock at night, meaning 9 o'clock French time. And I'm a bit worried about that, because 9 o'clock French time means that if it goes into extra time and penalties, there's no ride home, because the Lyon football stadium is nowhere near the centre. It's pretty fucking far away. So the trams apparently stop running at about 11:15. So I don't know how we're going to get back. And that'll be quite interesting. I'm hoping they put it on earlier, but I did read, I think this morning, that it was meant to be on at 9 o'clock. Anyway, back home after that on the 17th of April, we host Burnley at 2:15 p.m. And then to round the month off, we're away to Chelsea on the 24th of April at 2 p.m. Now, there's still no further news about the tickets for Chelsea. They had the audacity to ask for the Middlesbrough FA Cup game to be played behind closed doors. I mean, what a fucking nerve. Just because their fans can't get tickets. But apparently, of course, and as we knew it would happen, an agreement was made and Chelsea fans were able to attend. So I'm guessing from that West Ham fans won't be stopped from going to the away game at Chelsea at the end of April. Something will be arranged, of course, something's always arranged, but it will benefit us, because I think it'll be unfair if we go to Chelsea and not have any away fans there as well. Right, so let's get rid of that. That's it. Let's go into the chat. Well, no, that's not the end of the show. Let's just go into the chat and see what comments you guys have to make. Right, where do I go? How far up do I need to go? Let's go. There we go. Chris, Lyon are bang average, honestly, being 10th in the Farmers League. I know that, mate. I'm going to get onto them later on. Mandy disagrees with you. They're not bang average. Scott, Super Chef has just got home. Good one. Hope you had a good day, mate. Mandy, They lost two key players in January window, I think, unless I'm wrong. I don't know, but I'm going to go through very briefly about their team a bit later on. Daniela, did anyone watch the Comic Relief golf clip on YouTube between Rice? Didn't, I'm afraid. Missed that one. I hope it was good. Ashley, after a sleep. He's asleep all the bloody time. Mike, Spurs can have that game. We sacrificed the win for Spurs with our win against Sevilla. Yeah, yeah, that's the way I'd like to see it. Dabs, I think if Rice leaves at the end of the season and Fornals retires at the club, that Fornals will end up the bigger legend. Wow, that's a statement. I don't think Rice will leave though. Certainly not at the end of this season. Chris, maybe I'm wrong, but I think if we play strongly like Seville, we go through. I agree, Chris. If we play anywhere near as close as what we did in both legs, we played even better in the second leg than we did in the first leg, but we played superbly. And I agree with you. If we play like that against Lyon, we'll go through. Paul, love Antonio. Just wish you'll put two chances in. Yeah, well, he's not a natural striker. That's the problem. Mike, Musaka was a bunch of Malacca against Spurs. If you don't know Greek, you don't understand what he meant, and I'm not going to repeat. I'm not going to translate it. Black Country must be a backhander with Masuaku. I'm not saying it. You lot are. I'm glad you all agree with me. Chris, that's cool, sir. Hope we have a good time. Epic, you can't blame Masuaku for Moyes' decision to put him on the pitch. No, you can't blame Masuaku for being selected, but you can blame Masuaku for playing shit. John, good evening to you. Are you only just turned up? When show's nearly done, mate. Don't know where you've been. Let's scroll down. I agree, Chris, from Mandy. If we can replicate the kind of performance, then we can get past them. Absolutely agree. Richard, Moyes likes a small squad. Don't expect a lot of signings in the summer. I don't. I mean, we've calculated that we need at least 6 players, with the players that are leaving because of contracts and the age of players, etc. Calculated roughly that we need at least 6 players. If we get 4, I'd be very surprised. Trini, that's a bit rich. He got robbed, then our defenders decided to let their players waltz into the box. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. He didn't get robbed, Trini. I'm really, really sorry. He did not get robbed. He was lackadaisical in his approach. He was quite blasé, as he normally is with his style of football. I'd love to defend him, but I can't, Trini. I really can't. But having said that, you're absolutely right. They had to get past other defenders as well. So I accept that. Ashley, Antonio not going to play. Yeah, I'm going to talk about international call-ups a little bit later. Chris Masawaku at fault for the first goal and Zuma for the third. Well, it was more more Dawson who ran into Zuma for the third because the Seville game left them knackered. Summer window will be very crucial. Daniela. Not sure clubs are going to pay our asking price for Declan this summer when they can wait 12 months and the price will start coming down if Rice does not sign a new contract. That is very true. Epic, what is Fabianski's purpose if he concedes every time a defender makes a mistake? I agree. Like I said, it wasn't just one player who played badly. I think Fabianski ducked for the second goal, didn't he? It looked like he was about to sort of jump up, and then he stayed down. Black Country don't understand Moyes why pick Masuaku. There's better players on the bench. Well, he did an experiment only a few weeks before where he picked Fornals as a left wing back. And that actually worked really well, even though we thought, my God, what are you doing? But it actually worked really well. I would rather have done that. I would rather have had Diop as a third centre back and even put Cresswell as a bit more of a defensive wing back. I know doesn't have the legs for it, but that would have kept it tighter. Mike, I would kill to have Son at West Ham. He's one of my favourite players in the Premier League. Such a shame he plays for the Spuds. Had to censor it, couldn't even type it. Peter, I noticed Cresswell played Son onside for the third goal. Everyone had a bit of a bad game, to be honest with you. Let's scroll down. Mandy, it was only 2 seasons back when Lyon beat Benfica, Juventus, Man City, Leipzig. Yeah, I know. But they may not be as good now. Jeff, if Antonio doesn't fluff those 2 golden chances, we could have got the points. Well, very true. Very true. We're just not on form, were we, at all? Mike, Dawson 2 million, Maguire 80 million, and Dawson has scored the same amount of goals this season as Grealish. There's football for you. There's football for you. Good evening, GP. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. What have we got here? Peter, I want to see Peter's comment because, oh, yeah, you talked about Cresswell keeping them on side. Grant, hello, mate. I hope you're well. The Chelsea fans who went to Borough had bought tickets before the sanctions. Did they? because I thought they made an agreement with the FA for some reason. That's my understanding. But mate, you're right. Good evening, Jonathan. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Grasham, hello, mate. How are you? Gamesmanship getting worse and surrounding refs again. Yeah, Spurs. Mandy. I would bet on us, Chris, but it's going to be a huge game against the team who have Champions League experience. But we've beaten teams that have been in the Champions League so far this season. Let's not forget that. There have been other teams that, all right, maybe not to the level of Lyon, maybe not. But, we have beaten two Champions League teams that were two teams that were in the Champions League this season. Lyon are a good side, GP. If the worst happens, no shame on our part. Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. But we're going to get through. Nigel still blames Masuaku for the petrol crisis. I bet he's got something to do with it, Nigel. I really do. I bet he's got something to do with it. James, do you think Areola will stay next season and he'll be our number one? Going to get to that later on, mate. Yes, I do. Dabs, the international break couldn't have come at a better time so that Soufal and Bowen can rest. Well, I'm going to come to injuries later on as well. Trini, Dawson for the third and Creswell playing them on side. Yeah, Dawson. It was Dawson who made the mistake. Dawson made it. He shouldn't have. No, really, he could have just backed off. And maybe he could have caught up with Son, but Son's fast. Dawson made a tactical foul to stop a potential goal. Got booked, then scored 2 minutes later. My heart. Mandy, footballers have to rely on instinct, and when they get little time and space, Masuaka's the instincts of a narcoleptic moth. I couldn't have put it better myself. Vinay, is the Antonio as lone striker experiment past its sell-by date? Yes, I think we need to move him back on the wing. Play false number 9 and use Yarmo for the last 30 minutes. And Yarmo and Antonio together will work. That bit I agree with. Richard, Masuaku, the original 6 foot apart defender. Pash, can you say big fat rank again, please? It made me feel thin. Jonathan, real question is, if we finish 8th or 7th at the end of the season, do we have a good season despite all the epic experiences? No better than other manager going forward from bottom up. Right? Yeah, look, if we finish top half, I think it's still a good season. Of course, we've had a taste of European football now, so of course we all want to continue with that. I absolutely understand that. But even if we finish 8th and we win the Europa League, I'll take that. GP, how comes Happy a mod here? Lanzini's the best player ever. I asked her. Mike, Antonio should drop back to the wing when we finally buy a striker. He's very effective on the wing. Lost his magic touch in front of goal. Nigel, everyone has a bad game, but still singles out one player. Agenda criticism, not ever balanced. Not true. I had a rant about Masuaku, and I think rightly so. But I've just mentioned Fabianski didn't have a good game. Creswell didn't have a good game. The defenders didn't have a good game. A number of players that I think I said the only player that had a pretty decent game was Benrahma, but Masuaku was the worst of the worst. Let's make sure you understand that. Dabs, Lyon have just drawn 0-0 to Reims and lost 4-2 to Rennes. There you go. You see, they're not having a very good season in the league. Not having a very good season. John, Masuaku hasn't had one bad game. He has been poor 90% of the games he has played this season. I would argue he's been poor 90% of the games he's played for West Ham in all his career. There you go. That's how bad I think he is. Happy Amaret, Chris, with Areola taking over next season, hopefully in the Premier League, Fabs will be great in the cup runs. This is what we thought was going to happen this season. Jeff, blind Freddie could see that we'd man mark Son. We win the game. Well, there you go. Would we have had a player that would have kept up with him, though? That's the only thing. Trini, Antonio cannot play on the wings to protect his hamstring. That's the other problem with that. Absolutely. GP, even though I admit now Massa is not a Premier League player, he may be good in the Championship. Let's see how many Championship teams want to buy him. Right, let's go into the next part of the show, shall we? Right, two games to catch up on in the women's league, in the women's games over the last week. The first one is when they played Man United last week at Chigwell Construction Stadium last Wednesday. A hard-fought 1-1 draw. Both teams had their chances, but it wasn't until the 54th minute that Man United went ahead with an overhead kick from Ella Toon with the help of a massive deflection, if anyone saw it on YouTube. However, in the final minute of the game, Grace Fisk got onto the end of a corner, flicking the ball. It was actually a really well taken goal, the way she flicked it back and it went into the top of the net. The women's team now stays sixth in the league, in the Women's Super League. And for the first time, they've reached 24 points, which is a great achievement for them. And then they played again. On Sunday afternoon, they were back in action against Ipswich in the Vitality Women's FA Cup. The West Ham women's team reached the semi-finals by beating Ipswich 1-0. Lisa Evans found the back of the net in the first half of a toughly contested tie. Ipswich had several chances to make the game level, but West Ham also had their opportunities as well. However, we held on, and the women's team now face Man City in the semi-final of the competition. And as Nigel reminded me earlier today, Man City beat West Ham in the final 3 years ago by three goals to nil. So this is our chance to get one back on them. Right. What about the under 23s? They were back in action and back to winning ways after quite a number of games that they hadn't won in the league. Familiar faces. Longello, after quite a long break since been out since January, was back in the team. Pierre Equa in defensive midfield. Lang and Alacy were centre backs there. And a number of other names that you now know pretty well. Chesters, Forsan, Okoflex, Perkins, and so on. Within 8 minutes, the West Ham went ahead with a fantastic strike by Pierre Equa. By the way, they played at the London Stadium the day after we played the game against Seville, which was fantastic for them. They played, and I didn't realise this. If I'd have seen it sooner, I might have been tempted to go, because season ticket holders were offered free tickets to go and watch the game. Thanks for letting us know, West Ham United. You know, you had a little mention of it, and no, you should have made a big deal about it. You might, with all the the fans being so happy about the game against Seville, etc. You might have got a bigger crowd if you made a big song and dance about it. Anyway, Pierre Equa with a superb 20-yard strike got the first goal within 8 minutes. The first half was littered with chances created by West Ham, with Okoflex being at the hub of most of the team's best moves. However, the first half ended with a great save by the impressive Christian Heggie in goal. And early in the second half, let's remove that. Early in the second half, Brighton were level with a strike from winger Todd Miller. Coach Mark Robson decided to make a couple of changes, with Dan Chesters and Okoflex coming off, with Kamari Swire and Thierry Nevers coming on. And it paid dividends because West Ham, within minutes of coming on, Swire was Nevers got the second goal, and then Swire got the third goal for West Ham. On 81 minutes, Brighton pulled a goal back, but it was not enough. So we won the game 3-2, and as I said, it was back to winning ways. If we've now got a game in hand over the league leaders, Man City. And if we win that, we'll cut our deficit down to 4 points if we win that game in hand. But the win has also created a big gap between us and third place Arsenal by 5 points. So well done, the under 23s, for coming back to winning ways. The under 18s did something quite unusual at the weekend, quite a rarity for them. They didn't score a goal. But they didn't lose either. They played top of the league leaders, Southampton, and the goal ended goalless. After several big wins for the West Ham under 18s, I think they started to believe that they could probably smash every team 4-5 or 6-0. But it wasn't to be. Another hard-fought game. They are, they lying second in the league, West Ham United, and given the fact that they were expecting to finish something like sixth in the league, is a fantastic achievement. So well done to them as well. Well, for they haven't lost now since a game since December. Their next game is against Leicester on the 2nd of April. Let's go back into your chat before I go into the next part of the show. Let's not talk about Masuaku anymore, because I know people get upset. But I'll do this one instead. Jo, John, you've licked Stell's boots so much you're in danger of getting cherry blossom point. That's unfair. People have their own opinions, and most people are agreeing that Ben Rama's Ben Rama, that Masuhaku is no good, no good. Anil, Ben Rama has come on leaps and bounds from last season despite blowing hot and cold. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit more depth in a minute, mate, because there've been some interesting comments about Ben Rama from David Moyes, hasn't there? James, women's team played at my town of Felixstowe at the weekend. Great to see it on BBC I. They played well, didn't they, from what I understand? Dabs, could have been a West Ham versus could it be a West Ham versus Rangers final? Also, if we can smash Celtic 6-2, I'm pretty sure we can beat Rangers. It's on the cards. It's on the cards, isn't it? Good evening, Matthew. How are you? I thought I was late. Not that late, mate. You've only missed 40 minutes. Don't worry about it. I now realise that Pacific time zone is currently only 7 hours behind GMT due to our return to daylight. There you go. Well, I'll try and make sure that people know when I talk about the time that I'm on, it's on UK time, GMT time. Richard, will Moyes ever give some of the youngsters a chance to play in the first team? Maybe not this season. No, they've missed their chance. Definitely missed their chance. Good evening, Cockney Buccaneer. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. I hope you're well. Pat, how are you, mate? Come on, Stelmore. I'm done. You know my thoughts on him. I could have been a lot worse, and I was in private chats. I've been really scathing, but I thought, you know what? Let's just give the lad a break. Pat, good evening to you. In bed with COVID. I just thought I would pop in and say hello because I'm nice like that now. You can all keep the noise down, please. I hope you get better soon, Pat. I really do. I hope you're well. John, did the women's team buy anyone in January transfer window? I don't know. They did, and I mentioned it in January. And if you watched the show back then, you would have known that. Grassham, a goal and a man up with 15 minutes to go at the Camp Nou. Do we press for another goal or let Dawes, Mickey, and Thomas et al give it the Olays? You're beginning to dream. You are beginning to dream. I know you are, mate. I know. Right. Let's go on to the next part of the show, shall we? Not that. You know, without transfers to talk about, I'm racing through this show. I'm more than halfway through. It's unbelievable. And I've only done 40 minutes. God, usually I'm talking about transfer rubbish for about 3 hours. Anyway, let's crack on, shall we? Because we've got a few player issues to talk about. We thought we'd sort of heard the last of this, didn't we? And then last week, the RSPCA confirmed that they're going to prosecute him. Kurt Zuma is going to be, my other half is looking over and saying rightly so, because she loves cats, as you all know. Kurt Zuma is apparently going to be prosecuted by the RSPCA. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, is he going to go to prison for kicking the cat? Who knows? What's going to happen? There's likely to be another fine. He might be asked to do some kind of rehabilitation. What's that for? Thank you. He might be asked to do some rehabilitation, and he might even do some community service. Just stick him in stick him at Battersea Cats and Dogs Home, and let him look after cats for a week, and let's see if he kicks any of them after that. I'm being flippant. I'm sorry, and I shouldn't be. But yeah, apparently we haven't heard the last of this. Kurt Zuma is going to be prosecuted. What his crime, what his punishment is going to be, we don't really know, but I'm sure we'll find out very soon. Right, Ben Rama. Now, look, a lot of fans love him. A lot of fans think he's not good enough. And he's a bit like Marmite, isn't he, Saeed Ben Rama? He's one of those players where he can do the sublime, and then sometimes he'll disappear in a game. And for me, I like him. I like the player, and I keep saying the same thing, that I just wonder what kind of Saeed Ben Rama we'd have if he was afforded the same kind of freedom that Jesse Lingard was afforded last season. And many people are going to go, well, they play in the same position. They do, but David Moyes expects something more from Benrahma than he did from Lingard. If you look at the way Lingard was playing last season, he was playing much further forward. He didn't have to track back. He wouldn't have been criticised if he didn't track back. And yet Saeed Benrahma is expected to do all that tracking back, etc., etc. I would like to see Benrahma given a free rein. I would like to see Benrahma staying more up front, being that focal point just behind the striker or the force number nine, or whatever you want to call him, because I think he's being given a bit of a hard time at the moment. After the Spurs game, Moyes was asked whether he was frustrated with it. What sort of question is that? Are you frustrated with the Benrahma? What a question that was. And of course, Moyes went. You never normally hear Moyes criticise players. He did criticise Antonio. He said it wasn't a planned substitution. He pulled him off because he wanted something different, which is quite refreshing for Moyes to do that. And yet, given that Benrahma, I thought, was our best player on the pitch, Moyes replied to that question. Yes, when he was caught on the edge of the box and he thought it was a free kick, I felt he could have released the ball a bit quicker. That's really unfair because that challenge on Benrahma, I think, was actually a free kick. But the referee played Wade play on. So I think Moyes has come out with some criticisms of Benrahma throughout the season, and I just think it's an odd one because he does seem to be singling him out. He's talking about I want him to do more, I want him to be more of a team player, etc., etc. And yet there are other players on the pitch that you could turn around and say, not just on Sunday, but just throughout the season, you could pick out players throughout the season who've not had the best of times. They've had good spells and they've had bad spells. The likes of Antonio, for example, has gone through quite a barren spell, and only recently has he sort of come back into some kind of form with his pace and his aggression, etc., etc. And but until Sunday, you didn't hear much criticism about Antonio, and I'm kind of a little bit surprised that Moyes seems to be singling out Benrahma. I don't know what you think, but my gut instinct tells me that he does seem to be singling him out. And like I say, I'd like to see Benrahma being given the freedom of the park in the same way that Lingard was last season, and then let's see what type of player you might have, because he does his best work in the final third of the pitch when he doesn't have to track back and run and carry the ball and all that sort of stuff. It's not his game. When he gets the ball in the final third, that's when he becomes more alert, more effective. You've got Lanzini who can do that sort of work, and has proven to us that he can track back and get the ball and run with it, etc. Benrahma can run with the ball, but my feeling is he can do that better in the last third of the pitch. But I don't know. I've got a feeling that there's been talk about what's going to happen at the end of the season. I've already said we need something like 6 players anyway before we even consider selling any of our players who are either not at the end of their can't sell them, but before you consider any players who are at the end of their contracts or who are beginning to age, before you even start thinking about players to sell, we already need 6 players. But I've got a gut feeling that Moyes is going to make a decision on Benrahma at the end of the season, and I can't see Benrahma staying. I think it will be a choice between he'll decide between Vlasic and Benrahma, and he'll probably go and he'll stay with Vlasic, and he'll probably sell Benrahma. I think it's a shame. I think Benrahma's a decent player. He's not a great player, but he's a decent player. He can be effective. And like I said, he's like Marmite. A lot of fans talk about him in a way that they think he's a good player, and a lot of fans think he's not worth it. People have said, oh, he's a good championship player, but he's not a good Premier League player. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'd like to see him being given a chance. And I'd like to see Moyes giving him that freedom. And I'd also like to hear Moyes stop criticising him, because those slight little digs every now and again, they can't do the player much good at all. Right, I was just asked earlier on, will we keep Alphonse Areola? Now we've found out that not only have we got an option to buy him for around 11 million pounds, we might have an option to extend his loan spell for another year. Buy the player. I know he's on big money, but goodness me, if that save in the game against Seville is anything to go by. We've got an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper on our hands. Why would you not want him to become a permanent feature of West Ham United? 29 years of age, he's turned up for us on more than one occasion. Let's forget Kidderminster. Again, almost every player on the pitch had a shit game against Kidderminster at that time, including Areola when he came out for the ball and missed it when they scored. But on the whole, he has provided us with some superb moments. And who's to argue about the one of the most fantastic saves you would have seen last Thursday from this man? Buy him. Let's not muck around and get loan signing again. If we want to be a team, a team for the future, looking at playing European football on a regular basis, etc., then you're gonna have to start spending money, good salaries on good players. And this guy's a good player, so why not keep him? Right. What about players out on loan? On loan, sorry, on international duty. Well, Declan, as we know, he's taken his place for England, and he turned up in style. He was carrying a West Ham bag. Look at that. Forget that. What's that? Is that a Gucci bag in his right hand? Forget that. Look at the West Ham bag. Turned up in style. There you go. He arrived at the England camp, and given that England have already qualified for the World Cup, they've got two friendlies coming up over the next week or so. He could feature in the game against Switzerland at Wembley on Saturday, and then against the Ivory Coast next Tuesday. No, oops, let's go back a minute. No, Bowen, of course. Southgate, because he's out injured, which is a shame. But Southgate did say that, Bowen has put himself in the frame for future consideration. And of course, there's no Kurt Zuma, but Deschamps said that he's picked him on footballing reasons and nothing to do with cruelty to cats. Which I find a little bit surprising because since he came back from injury, he's been fantastic. But going back to this man, Alphonse Areola, he took his place in the French squad today, called up by Deschamps to feature in the two friendlies that France have. They've already qualified as well. They've got friendlies on Friday against Ivory Coast and then next Tuesday against South Africa. Socek is also with the Czech Republic squad and probably going to captain them. They face Sweden in the World Cup qualifier playoffs on the 24th of March. And if they win that, they will face the winners between Wales and Austria on Tuesday. If they don't win their game, the Czech Republic, then they will play a friendly on that same day against Poland. Alex Kroll didn't get selected. Kind of no surprise there. And I guess one bit of relief for all of us is Antonio is not in the Jamaica squad. Good, thank goodness for that. That he's finally going to get a well-earned rest, and rightly so. If he had, he would have ended up having to play 3 games in something like 6 days or something ridiculous, and flown 11, 12, 13, 14,000 miles to do it, etc. So a mighty big relief that Antonio is not in the Jamaica squad. Nikola Vlasic, he's been called up by Croatia for their forthcoming friendlies as well. They've got games they've already qualified to for the World Cup. They've got friendlies against Slovenia on Saturday and then against Bulgaria next Tuesday. And fantastic news for Manuel Lanzini to get reselected for the Argentinian squad. Absolutely well deserved. Please come back fit. All of them, please come back fit, but especially you, Manu, for goodness sake. It's great. Look, Argentina, like most other teams, have already qualified for the World Cup, but they've still got qualifiers to play. They play Venezuela on Friday, and then they've got Ecuador on Tuesday. And believe it or not, Arthur's been selected too. He's been recalled back into the DR Congo squad in the 2-legged qualifier against Morocco on Friday with the return leg next Tuesday. So, good luck, Arthur. Show us what you're capable of doing, mate. Now, as I mentioned last week, there are a number of youth players as well who have been selected. Now, well, you call him a youth player, he's in the first team. But Ben Johnson has been called. He's earned his first call up for the England under-21 squad. Fantastic news for him, and he could feature in the European Championship qualifiers against Andorra on Friday and Albania next Tuesday. There are other players. Connor Coventry has been picked for the Republic of Ireland under-21 squad, and he usually captains that team. So he'll be there to lead them out against Sweden on Friday. And victory will bring them within a point of the hosts, who currently top Group 4. We've also got Ajibola Alese, who is in the England under-20 squad, who face Poland and Germany. And we've also got Mipo Odebeko, who's out on loan. He's also in the under-21s Republic of Ireland squad as well. And elsewhere in the under-18 squad, we've got England call-ups for Sonny Perkins and Divin Umbama. So that's not bad, is it? I'm going to count them. I should have counted them earlier on. That means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 12 players who are West Ham players. All right, a couple of them out on loan, I know, but we've got 12 players who are representing their countries at various levels. Fantastic. It shows that we're going in the right direction, people. It absolutely does. Next up, players on loan. Joseph Anang was on the wrong end of a last-minute goal against for St Patrick's Athletic. They lost 2-1 to Derry City on Friday. The 21-year-old was beaten at both ends of the game with a brace of long-distance efforts by Will Patching. The first, a curling shot from 25 yards, and the second, a powerful half volley from a similar range. Oh, well. Connor Coventry, he was in action as well, and he kept his team in it. Look at that offline. That is Connor Coventry in red there. An offline overhead clearance for the MK Dons at the weekend. The Republic of Ireland captain played his part in a hard-fought 1-0 win over Cambridge United. Liam Manning's side scored the decisive goal on the hour mark, and as you can see, Connor Coventry kept them in it by clearing off the line with a spectacular overhead kick. Nathan Holland came off the bench in the final 5 minutes of the Oxford United's 1-1 draw at the weekend, and Mipo Odebeko. Odebeko was dropped from the goalless draw against Fleetwood Town at the weekend. Doncaster Rovers manager McSheffrey stated that despite an encouraging start at Doncaster, Odebeko's ineffective performance against Gillingham the week before led to McSheffrey deciding that it was best to drop him from the team. And now he hopes that with a change of environment, going off with the Republic of Ireland under-21s, it will maybe hopefully do him the world of good with change of scene, etc., and comes back in the right frame of mind. Comes back in the right frame of mind. Oh dear. Now, how about injuries? Well, let's start off with Jared Bowen. Now, last week I talked about Bowen. I was given some news, thank you, Nigel, that Bowen may have chipped a bone in his foot. Now it's transpired that apparently it's not a chipped bone. Okay, so what is it then? Does that mean he comes back sooner rather than later? Look, they've done a couple of MRI scans. They say they couldn't find anything, but they're suggesting now, they're ruling out a fracture, but they're suggesting there may be a hairline crack under the bruising. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a form of a break in some manner? All right, albeit a more minor one, but it's still, you still can't put weight on a foot, especially your heel, if you've got a hairline crack. Now, look, and a hairline crack. Last week I talked about if it was a broken bone or a chipped bone or whatever it may be, it could be anything up to 6 to 8 weeks before you could put any pressure on it, and then you start your rehabilitation. With a hairline crack, it could be 2 or 3 weeks before you start putting pressure on it, and then you can maybe start your rehabilitation. Now, he's been out since what? Early March, I think, wasn't it? So he's already been out a couple of weeks already. Will he be back in time for the game against Lyon? Will he be back in time for any of the for the Everton game, etc.? I think not. Look, a hairline crack will take 2 or 3 weeks to start healing, and then it could take anything from 6 to 8 weeks before you really start to be able to sort of put more pressure on that foot. So my guess is, I think he's still out and probably until the end of April, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. Again, like I said last week, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. I can only read on these things. I'm not experienced at it. I don't know anything about these sorts of things. But a hairline crack in itself takes at least 3 weeks to start healing, and then you've got another 4 weeks or so, or 6 weeks or so, for full rehabilitation thereafter. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is back sooner rather than later, but I kind of doubt it. Next up, some good news is Vladimir Sufal looks like he will be returning soon after the international break, and he could be back in time for either the Everton game or certainly the Lyon game, which would be a fantastic return for him. And I hope that happens. And I mentioned last week as well, and I got a bit jittery about it, suggesting that Angelo Ogbonna was training back on grass last week, and he actually really, he looks like he really will be back, probably in contention for first team football around about mid-April. I can't believe that. I'm kind of in my head. I'm kind of refusing to believe that, but there you go. That's what the rumours are. So we could have. Well, we've got Soufal coming back. It looks like we might have Oggy back. There's a chance that we might have Bowen back, but I think of the three, there's a lesser chance for Bowen than there is for Ogbonna and Soufal. But imagine having Ogbonna back. Wouldn't that be? That would just be fantastic. What does that say about? I mean, would he walk into the team though? Would Soufal walk back into the team? Johnson has been doing really, really well. He's been fantastic. You know, Dawson and apart from Sunday, let's forget about Sunday. But Dawson and Zuma have been fantastic as a partnership in central defence. Does Ogbonna, does Soufal walk back into the team? But look, all good news though for players coming back from injury. Right, let's go. Jesus Christ, 169 comments. I really don't know how I'm going to go through them, so I'm not going to go through every one of them. But I'll try and I'll go. How far up shall I go? Let's do. Let's scroll up to. Jesus. Let's go there. Daniela. How about West Ham versus Atalanta final starts the season, finish the season? No, nice one. Yeah, I like that. They're a decent team as well. But yeah, that could happen. That could happen. Mike, did anyone see the Kurt Zuma shout? Yeah, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. I know it's no. I was joking. I know it wouldn't be a prison sentence. Stell's other half, John, I won't lie, she was standing right here while I was talking about Zuma. When I finished, off she went to watch TV. I know he won't go. I know it is more likely community service and catch homeless cats and feed them. Peter, you've hit a nice sense of humour or on it like a car bonnet. Are you being funny, HH? What's going on there? It's odd that Zuma's story is bigger than Joey Barton's assaulting his wife and kick her in the head. I know, mate. Trini, I totally and utterly agree with you. John, I never see it's like Benny. I know there is a player in there. So I think he's a good player. I really do. John, again, Jesse was given a totally free role. That's the difference. And that's exactly what I think. Exactly what I think. Mike, Ben Rama is one of my favourite players in the team. Really want him to improve Moyes wrong. Really want him to prove Moyes wrong. He puts a smile on my face. I like him. I like him. I like players like him. Scott, he's a confidence player. I wish Moyes would embrace him more often. He's a talented lad. I agree with you. I really do. Look, people, I'm really sorry. 169 comments. That's 9-4. I'm 15 minutes behind on the comments, so I'm going to have to skip some of them. I do apologise. I try my best to get everybody involved, but please forgive me. I can't read out every one of them. Vinay, Moyes' team Moyes' teams are based on front players tracking back. There is a cost. Such players waste energy and can't attack. This is it, Vinay. This is what I think. You know, he's turned Fornals. Fornals came to us as a number 10. He's turned him to an efficient, a workhorse. But, Fornals is the better off for it. He's a better all-round player. Bowen does that as well. Even Lanzini, has started to track back, etc. There are some players that just don't do that, can't do that. Not that they don't want to do that. It's just not their game, and Ben Rama is a more attack-minded player. And I'd rather have him do the damage further up front than lose the ball in our half and then everyone moaning at him. Let's scroll down. Jonathan, I agree with you on Ben Rama, but I think next season he'll be squad full. He'll be squad full next season. Moyes does not like him, and we can't afford to let him go this summer with all the players we need. I agree with you, but I just wonder if he might. I just wonder if he might let him go. Daniela, how else? It's going to be a fine for it all depends if civil or criminal prosecution. If it's civil case, you can only get a fine, I think. Yeah, it will be a fine. I was kidding when I said he might go to prison. I was kidding. Trini, Benny is too indecisive. He'd take the man or pass it. It's not rocket science. But the irony is, though, Trini, when he passes it, he's told he's done the wrong thing. When he keeps hold of it, he's told he's done the wrong thing. And he needs. He needs to be coached more then, and they must do that. I'm sure they must do that. I don't know. Victor, if Moyes doesn't like Ben Rama, why did he start him against Spurs? I don't know. Good question. Good question. I don't. It's not that he doesn't like him, but he does seem to pick him out and criticise him more than he does other players. It feels to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Um, Grassham, Moyes, maybe Moyes thinks Benny needs tough love. I'm not sure he likes it. The Luxter, good evening to you. Rib Ben Rama is skillful, but his overall game lacks. Hangs onto the ball too long instead of thrusting forward. Tackling and physicality is weak. Needs more shooting practice. Finish in the corner. But look at the way he scored that goal against Spurs. That was in the corner. He took that on the volley. But okay, I get that. I get that. You know, maybe he needs to be beefed up a little bit, you know, so he can be a bit more physical. Yeah, fair play. Vinay, Moyes never criticised Antonio, does not score for months, but still gets picked as a lone striker. Benny has 6 goals and Antonio has 8. Benny's done really well this season. I think he's got 6 goals and something like 7 or 8 assists or something like that. You know, so yeah. Cockney Buccaneer. If Benny didn't track back, everyone would be on his back for being lazy. We can't afford luxury players that don't work hard. I think he does work hard. What I mean is, I think he works harder. Uh, I think he's more effective further up the field than he is in the middle because he is a bit lightweight. You know, people have a go at him because he loses the ball in our half. You know, but I don't know. Mike, my only criticism against Benny is he needs to pass quicker. Apart from that, he's great to me. Let's scroll down. James, when Lingard was here, Ben Rama came alive. Push him into the centre with Bowen and Lingard out wide, and he'll be great. Good shout. Good shout, Chris. That is true. Moyes needs lots of players. Ben Rama will start performing if you have better players than Masuaku challenging him. Yeah. Mandy, will Moyes start Benny against Lyon? I can't see it. Interesting question. Don't know. Interesting question. I guess we'll soon find out. It's only a couple of weeks away. Peter, Moyes, how he treats Ben Rama, I think, is his methodology to make him a better player to suit our system or play. It doesn't always work with every player, though. I think is the point here. I've really got to scroll down, people. I really do. My apologies. Still, this is West Ham we're talking about now. You know what I mean. I do agree with you. Which bit, mate? I've said so many things between now and when you wrote that comment 10 minutes ago. But thank you for agreeing with me. Pat, thanks everyone. I'll be fine. As my first wife would say, it's not all about me. It is all about you. Get better soon, mate. Get better soon. Steve, how are you, mate? That save Thursday laid the groundwork for the win. I think so too. I absolutely agree with you there. Dabs. Everyone was saying that El Nesri was rubbish, but I thought he caused us a few. But he actually was good. I mean, I joked and said I thought he was rubbish, but he looks like a pretty decent player, doesn't he? Cockney Buccaneer. I don't know why don't mix things up a bit, like Antonio on the right, Vlasic and Yarmo sharing the striker role. Sometimes put Antonio back up with Bowen and yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think when I started the show, I talked about the team that lined up against Spurs, and maybe he could have freshened it up a little bit. He had Vlasic, he had Yarmolenko, only played, half the game against Seville. He had other players that he maybe he could have even put Noble on to stabilise things in the middle and so on. James, one thing that impressed me with Areola is his ability to push the ball wide when saving shots. A lot of keepers push the ball back into the danger zone, just like the Sevilla keeper did against us last Thursday when Yarmolenko scored the winner. Trini, hope Dex does not play as they are friendlies and we did not need any more injuries and fatigue. I hope every one of those players comes back fit. I really do. Mark, good evening to you, mate. Late parent duties. Understood, mate. Totally understood. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Let's scroll down. Mandy, let's talk about relegation battles. I missed those days. You're the only one that does. Nigel, why is it fantastic for Lanzini to be picked but bad if Antonio was? Why is it fantastic? What was that about? I don't know. Did I say that or did someone else say that in the comments? I don't know. Why is it? Oh, you're talking about them being picked for. Well, good point. Good point. You know, because if Manzini gets injured while he's out there, then it's just as bad as losing Antonio. Yeah, fair enough. I do agree. Nigel again, is DR Congo Arthur's physiotherapist? He'll probably need one after the criticism he gets. Matthew, over here, Vlasic is a brand of pickles. Where are you, Matthew? Where is Vlasic a brand of pickles? Mandy, I still remember the game at home against Hull under Bilic where we had to win. Oh, old days. Days gone. We don't want those days anymore. We absolutely don't want those days. Good evening, Peach. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. I hope you're well. I've got to scroll down. I've got to scroll down and catch up. Mandy, Bowen back for the Barcelona game when we get rid of Lyon. Next bit and the final bit of the show will be all about Lyon and about Seville and about how great last Thursday was. Anyway, Scott, never believe Superstar. I'm still waiting for Lingard to arrive in January. Mate, I never said he would. I only said stories say he was arriving, and other channels were saying he's definitely coming. I never ever say anyone's definitely coming. I didn't mean it. I should go off air. I should go off air. Anyway, what else have we got? What else have we got? Peach is saying hello to the whole wide world. Anil, Lanzini last ditch tackle versus Seville was just as important as the goal versus Spurs. Special player deserved the international call up on form. Totally agree. Mark Alexandra, but Nigel's right. I didn't think of that. Nigel's right. Why are we not worried about Lanzini going all the way to Argentina and worried more about Antonio? Maybe because we've got more cover for Lanzini. As good a player as he is, maybe we've got more cover. You know we've got Vlasic and Benrahma and Fornals, etc. Whereas with Antonio, we don't have Bowen at the moment, and maybe that's why people were fearing more for him being out on international duty. And I'm pleased that he's not. I'm pleased that he's not going on in international duty. Mark, I think Benny going will depend on Lanzini. Could play the same role. It'll be one or the other. Then get in a proper winger. Lanzini will stay. I don't believe all these stories that Lanzini signed. Lanzini has said he wants to finish his career at River Plate, where he started his career. But he's talking about finishing his career. He's only 29. He's still got a couple of seasons left in him for West Ham, I think. Vinay, I hope we sign Areola, who has reflexes of a cat, and I hope that does not trigger Zuma. He may view Zuma as a big cat. Good evening, Sean. Hello, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Mandy, it seems like Moyes wants Benny to be more a team player, but when Benny gets a 50-50 chance, he doesn't hesitate, and that's when Moyes gets annoyed. Yeah, maybe you're right there. Mark, Moyes doesn't know how to play technical players. Rooney at Everton made a pig's ear at Man United. Yeah, that might be a good point there. Chris, Everton are in the middle of a relegation battle. If they drop, we should go for Decor and Richarlison. Yeah. Got one or two rich pickings from there, haven't we? Trini, Barca are getting knocked out of their next match, so even if we get through, we won't play them. Ooh. They're back on form at the moment, Barca. James, some players need an arm around them and others a toe in the hole. I'm sure Moyes knows which one Benny needs more than us. Fair play. Right, I'm down the bottom. Right, let's go into the last part of the show, shall we? Right, let's bask in the glory of last Thursday, shall we? Because what a monumental night it was. I've been I've been to some great games at West Ham, but this one just was. I don't know. It just felt like it was better than anything. And I know we've had great moments. We're getting back into the Premier League, winning the playoff and all that sort of stuff and so on. But I don't know. I think everyone said that the stadium couldn't have an atmosphere like it did. Everyone said that the stadium is soulless, it's lifeless, etc., and that we needed all these, sort of light shows to get the crowd going. We needed none of that on Thursday. I know they had a light show and all that shit, but regardless of that, The atmosphere at the stadium last Thursday night was electric, and it was superb. And to actually walk in, I remember I was starting to get nervous around about lunchtime, and I was beginning to think, right, oh, the game's coming up, and what's going to happen, and how we're going to do, and etc. etc. How will the fans be, and will they be up for it, and so on. God, wow, honestly, they were up for it from the start to the end, absolutely up for it. They needed no encouragement, a sellout crowd, and no one needed any encouragement to get right behind the team. And it was really, really just a superb night of football. The way the fans were, the way the players played. I mean, they played absolute superb football. Every one of those players was a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Honestly, ironically, I think the worst player we had on the night was Fornals, and even he had a really, really good game. And when I say a bad player, just look at the level. I was really shocked and pleasantly surprised at the level that every one of those West Ham players got to on last Thursday. Areola in goal, we've come to expect that now. I mean, we're going to talk about his save in a minute. Johnson, Zuma, Dawson, and Creswell at the back, just solid, absolutely solid. Declan and Souček in the middle of the park, virtually controlling everything. Fornals, Lanzini, Benrahma supporting Antonio. Every one of those players had just an amazing game, and it was an absolute honour to have been at the stadium last Thursday. It really was. It's just you couldn't put it into words. And I was watching the game. I was watching most of the game like that because I was thinking, are we gonna get through? And my heart kept beating like really 10 to the dozen. But it was just one of those games. It was just one of those superb games, and it started off, as people have already mentioned, with Areola and that absolutely fantastic save from En-Nesyri. It was a monumental save. If that had gone in, that would have been game over. They would have sharp shot, they would have been 2-0 up, and we would never have got back into the game. But for Areola to pull off such a superb reflex save, really spurred us on. It really got us going. It really, it set the players up another notch, and it was just absolutely superb. And then, of course, with Antonio getting the ball just outside the box with his deft, sublime footwork, which we know he can do sometimes, and sometimes it can rebound off his knee and go into road Z. We know that, but the way he controlled the ball, played it around a few players, and then dinked it over with his wrong foot, with his left foot, and then Souček saw it. He saw it was coming, and he timed his jump perfectly. And wow, when he scored that goal, I mean, I thought it was noisy then, but Christ, when that goal went in, the noise level just went even higher. It was just a monumental goal. Really, really brilliant. And I think Seville had moments. I think they had a spell in the game after we scored our goal where they seemed to sort of take control of the game. But I never thought we were really in any danger. They had I did have the stats, and I've lost them unfortunately. But they had a number of chances, etc. But I didn't really think that Areola was put under too much pressure. I really didn't think our defence was put under too much pressure. I actually think Seville were surprised that we scored. I think they weren't expecting it. I think they were kind of thinking that they were going to contain us and that we wouldn't get a chance. But we created chances, and that goal by Souček and the leap was just, I mean, it just made the crowd go absolutely nuts. Let's go back in, and then of course in extra time, I mean, he must have been the coolest man on the pitch, Andrei Yarmolenko. I mean, it was a great move anyway. Ball came out to, as you all know, to Fornals. Fornals took a speculative shot. Their keeper should have done an awful lot better. Someone mentioned earlier about Areola when he saves the ball, he makes sure it goes away from the any dangerous areas. Well, their keeper didn't do that. Their keeper parried the ball straight into Yarmolenko's path, and he looked like the coolest cucumber on the pitch. He just slid it in as if it was a practice match, and it was like, oh my God. And then the noise got even louder, and it was just absolutely superb. And we knew we'd won it. We knew we'd won it at that point. And a few nail-biting moments, but all in all, what a superb effort. What a fantastic game. And as someone said earlier on in the chat, if we play anywhere near to that level against Lyon, we stand a fantastic chance of getting through. It was a fantastic night. Everything about it was fantastic. Right. So the draw was made. and we knew that we got Lyon in the next round. And here's the lineup. So Leipzig plays Atalanta, Eintracht Frankfurt against Barcelona, West Ham against Lyon, and then Braga against Rangers. And then the winners of those games will look like this. So either Leipzig or Atalanta will face Braga or Rangers in the semi-final, and West Ham or Lyon will face Eintracht Frankfurt or Barcelona in the semi-final. Now, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to tempt fate. I really don't. But I think if we do play as well as we did against Seville, I think we will beat Lyon. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Lyon in a moment. Eintracht Frankfurt and Barcelona. People are suggesting that Eintracht are playing better than Barcelona at the moment, but yeah, Xavi has kind of started getting Barcelona ticking just at the right time. They're still third in the league, and they're a dangerous beast, aren't they? You'd never write Barcelona off. I don't know who's going to go through that. I kind of think that Barcelona will just edge it. Leipzig against Atalanta, difficult one. That's a difficult one to tell. I think maybe Leipzig might get through there, and then Braga Rangers. Well, I'm putting my money on Rangers for that one. So two great ties coming up. We already know that we know our first round against Lyon is at home on the 7th of April, and then we already know that if we get through that, we'll be playing either Eintracht or Barcelona in the first leg back at the London Stadium as well. Right. So what do we know about Lyon? Well, let's talk about them, shall we? Olympique Lyonnais playing at this Groupama Stadium, which was opened in 2016. 59,000 capacity stadium. It's 10 kilometers away from the city centre. The best way of getting there to Lyon is with their excellent tram service rather than train. So you'll be able to arrive at the stadium in style. Yeah, well, until the Lyon fans smash them all up when it's full of West Ham fans. You can get the tram shuttle from the whoever's going out. I'm going out there. I don't know who else. I know there might be one or two other people in the chat that's going out there. You get the tram shuttle from Villette in the south of Lyon City. You can get also the regular lines on the T3 Transit to the Grand Large Stadium, which is around 700 meters from the stadium, but the tram is the best way. If you're hoping to get to Lyon directly from London on the train, then the Eurostar is the way to go. So if you're planning your travels, get on the Eurostar. You'll get to Lille Europe to begin with, and then you transfer to France's internal train line in order to get to Lyon. 5.5 hours in total from London. Other ways of getting to the stadium, you can go by bus. There's a good bus service system in Lyon, or you can go by car, but then you'll get stuck in traffic, or you can take a taxi and end up spending a small fortune getting stuck in traffic. Right. What about their fans? They've got a number of groups, Lyon fan base. The most well-known ones are the Bad Gonnes, or Bad Kids, established in 1987 and occupy the Virage North of the stadium. They're also the biggest group of supporters in France and have a very strong reputation in Europe. The Cosa Nostra is another group established in 2007. They occupy the Virage South, so we get it from both sides. The away fans. It's not just one side of the stadium, but it's the other side as well. The group, the Cosa Nostra, was a merger of two other groups, the Luc Dunams and the Nucleo Ultras, which were formed years before. And apparently they got together in order to create some sense of stability amongst the fans. They're a bunch of nutters, I'm telling you. The Hex Gunners or Goners, established in 2002, sit in the Virage South of the stand, and the Gastrogoners, who occupy. They sound like a restaurant. The Gastrogoners, who occupy the Jim Boon stand, and the Oels, they're everywhere. They're fucking surrounding us. They're going to be all over the gaff. Other fan groups, they've got fan groups outside the city of Lyon, the Goners 58, the Goners 26, etc., etc., etc. They've got a big fan base. Right, fan issues. Well, they've had a few. In 2016, Lyon were fighting fans in Seville. I think that was the Champions League. In 2017, Besiktas fans clashed with Lyon fans in and outside the stadium before and after the Europa League quarter-finals. In 2019, Lyon fans fighting on the streets of Barcelona, of all places, in the Champions League game before a Champions League game. And in 2021, Lyon were docked 1 point and made to replay the game against Marseille after fans threw bottles at Marseille players. And of course, one of those Marseille players, as I'm sure you know, well, no, the Marseille player was Dimitri Payet. So they got docked a point for that. And then in 2021, Lyon got kicked out of the French Cup because of fan fighting again. They seem to relish in fighting everywhere they go. They really do. Whether it's at home or away, they seem to be quite happy fighting quite a lot of the time. And the French league is quite concerned about fan fighting at the moment. It seems to have gotten fan violence. It seems to have gotten worse and worse in the French league over the last couple of seasons. Team club honours. I'm shitting myself going now. Team club honours. They've won the French league 7 times. They've won the second Division 2 3 times. Coupe de France 5 times. Coupe de la Liga. There's the League Cup 1 time. The Trophée des Champions 8 times. Champions League semi-finalists twice. Europa League semi-finalists once. Cup Winners' Cup semi-finalists once. Never played against West Ham United. Head to head. So their league position, our league position at the moment is 7th. As we know, we played 30 games, won 14, drawn 6 and lost 10. Their league position is 10th, played 29. They played another game, so I haven't included that. My apologies. Played 29, won 11, drawn 10, lost 8. Goals for, we've got 49 goals with 39 against, so a difference of 10. Goals for them, 40, 37 with a difference of 3. In the Europa League, both obviously played 8 games. We won 5, they won 6. We've drawn 1, they've drawn 2. We've lost 2. They haven't lost any yet in the Europa League. Goals for, they got better than us, 18 to our 13. Away goals against, 6 to our 4, so we got a better defence. And the difference you can see there, difference of 9 for us and 12 for them. So they score more, but we concede less. What else have we got for you? Player comparisons. I think this is quite old. I don't think it's up to date at all, but I could be wrong. I actually, no, I tell a lie. This is for the league. So it's not all for all competitions. Their top goal scorers, Moussa Dembele, with 10 goals to our Antonio at 8. Favre, their midfielder, is on 9 with Bowen, who's out injured, on 8. And Akambi on 7 with Fornals on 6. There were more. I just thought I'd do the top 3. Assists, Favre is one of the danger players with 5 assists. There we go, Bowen again with 8 assists. Aour, I can't pronounce his name. I think is a defensive midfielder with 3 assists, and then we've got Antonio with 7, and Akambi, another dangerous player with 3 assists, with our Ben Rama having 6. Pass interceptions. Kukere is one of their better players with a pass interception rate of 120, but compare that to Declan of 168. We got the better there. Emerson, their defender, who's on loan, I think, from Chelsea, pass interceptions of 107, but you compare him to Soucek with 152. I don't know why this is compared a defender with a midfielder, but there you go. And then Boateng in defense, 96 pass interceptions with Zuma, 142. So our defensive play is a lot better than theirs. Now, I mean, you look at these teams, you look at the form of these teams, and one would argue, just very, very slightly, that West Ham have got the edge over them. I think we've got better players. I think despite the fact that they're lying 10th in the league, we're lying 7th in the league, but we're lying 7th in the league that I think is a much harder league than the French league. So I think overall, I think we've got just the better angle. Their defensive average is 18 tackles with 11 interceptions per game on average. Their attacking averages are something like 14 shots, of which 5 are on target on average. For us, our defensively, we average just under 15 tackles per game with 10 interceptions. So it's better than it's on par with them. And then offensively, 12 shots, which with just over 4 on target. So again, roughly about the same. Um, I think we've got the edge. I think we've got the players who have got the edge. I think and I know a lot of people would have wanted the second leg to be at home, but I think if we can put some distance between us and Lyon, if we can win by a couple of goals in the first round, I think we'll edge it. And then of course we're all hoping for uh, this to happen, aren't we? We're then hoping for Barcelona in the semi-final. Look, there's what can you say about Barcelona? They've gone through a rough patch. Xavi is sorting them out, and they're the sort of team that we want to be playing against. Look at their honours. 26 La Liga titles, 31 Copa del Rey titles, 5 Champions League, etc. You can go on and on and on. But let's beat Lyon first. Let's beat Lyon first. And I think, with the players that we have, I think we've got the slight edge. But you tell me what you think, and we'll finish off the show with your comments. So I'm going to scroll up to where should we go? Let's go there. Cockney, Yarma stole the headlines, but Socek's goal was brilliant. It absolutely was. I absolutely agree with you. Peter, Lanzini's tackle back, also a brilliant moment. Yeah, absolutely right. And sorry I didn't mention that. Vinay, I knew Yarmolenko was going to score the moment he came on the pitch. Did you? I wish. Leipzig. I said Leipzig. I know I know about your German football. James, Fab's made a brilliant double save versus Villa. Short memory, some more selective. Sevilla, did he make a brilliant double? That's the only one that sticks in my mind. Dabs, Stell, it's called Leipzig. What did I say? I'm sure I said Leipzig. Hello, everyone's having a go at me. Leipzig. That's what I said. I'm sure I said. You know what I meant. There you go. The Hexagons' third album was shit. I didn't even know there was a band called the Hexagons. But their hooligans are known to throw escargot at the away fans. Get your garlic and bar ready. What else we got? Trini, not sure West Ham fans will be too worried about any fans who want to have a go. Yeah, true, but they've got a lot of fucking loons, Trini. They've got a lot. The more I kept reading about them, I was thinking, fucking hell, they're a bit mad. They're a bit a bit unhinged. Um, Vinay, who is their Masuaku? Who is their anti-cat player? I didn't look too deeply into that. Dabs, yeah, but if they all came to the Premier League, their stats would be half. I agree. That's what I said. I said, we got a tougher league, so I agree with you on that. Cockney, if we get them all the English way, playing at 100 miles an hour, we'll win. Mark, Newcastle have took one of their best players in Bruno Guimaraes. Luca Paqueta is a top quality player. He absolutely is. Let's scroll down. Trini, league from has no bearing on cup matches. I don't want Barca. The only 2 teams I feared were Barca and Seville, and I want us to get to the final. Well, we got rid of one. Why not get rid of Barca as well? I actually worry more about Eintracht Frankfurt than Barcelona. Ironically, but Eintracht Frankfurt could be the sort of team that we could slip up on. I think. Let's scroll down. What else have we got? Going back a bit, Cockney, Jamaica don't need Antonio as they can't qualify. Yep, that's good. No, and I'm glad. What else have we got? Cockney, by the way, Stel, I changed my name. I know it was you. I could see your photo and I couldn't remember it was Hornswosler. So thank you for reminding me. Pash, Lanzini and Benny are playmakers and should be encouraged to take players on instead of taking the easy option of laying the ball off. We need to be a bit more adventurous to create more openings. Yeah, but then people get upset when they lose the ball. Black Country, cracking night, fantastic atmosphere, good few beers or 2, great curry after. You had time for a curry around Barking, fantastic night. Bring more of those nights. That's what we want, isn't it, Black Country? It is what we want. Who's going to Lyon at home? Who's going to Lyon away? Who's a bit of an idiot for going away? Yeah, I know. There you go. Mandy, yes, sushi. What? The cat's having a go at me. Mandy, James is a Buddhist monk and hasn't spoken in 15 years, which is why he texts yaps. So what? Hey, what, Mandy? You've lost me. Vinay, reminds me of the 1980 Cup run. Every game from the last 16 was special. Arsenal and Liverpool had 3 replays, I think, in the semis. Lampard scored the winner against Everton in the semi-final. Where's our historian, Nigel? Is that correct? Nigel will know. Epic. Fabianski would never made that save. We don't know. We don't know, but I'm guessing probably not as well. Anil Souček said it was the best 2 games he's played for West Ham versus Seville. Hope he beats the Swedes. Yep, I really do as well. Good luck to him. Dabs, how long will Souček wear that Rambo headband for? For as long as he care. I don't care. If he scores goals like that, he can wear it for the rest of his career for all I care. Peter, yeah, said that one already. Yeah, and then you've all had a go at me for saying Leipzig when I actually said Leipzig, which I'm pretty sure I said Leipzig. But there you go. Done that one. John, they are 10th in the French league, and the French league is poor. I know, but then you got to see what they're doing in the Europa League, and and as Trini said, league has no bearing on cup matches, and that's very, very true. Jonathan, we need to take more shot like Fornals did. Even if we don't get it in, we have a chance of the rebound, just like Yarmo did in the last Euro game. Sean, Liverpool Arsenal 1987 final did go 3 games, and the historian says I did mine 5 minutes. So there you go. That's it. Nigel's had the last word. People, I'm done. An hour and 32. That's pretty fast. But then there's no transfers to talk about. None of all that crap. I see Yannick. Good evening to you. I see Yannick. Good evening to you. West Ham will beat Lyon 100%. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. People, thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. As usual, thank you for keeping me on my toes. The chat is, wow, well, there's a lot of chat. And so thank you for that. Thank you for watching. I'd never say it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe to the channel. It's new. I've got to build up my numbers. It's a poorly channel. It needs the likes. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. Even if you don't, still subscribe. Doesn't matter. But thank you all. There's still more. There you go. Come on, you irons. Like and subscribe. Do I what, mate? Go and enjoy it. Yeah. Thank you all. Much appreciated. Have a good evening. I won't be back on Monday because I'm going away. I'm going to do a recce at Barcelona. Yeah, I'm going to Barcelona on Monday to do a bit of a recce, find out where the best pubs are for when we get to the semi-final there, etc., etc. So I won't be back on Monday, but I may do a show on Sunday night in order to make up for me not, because I'm away for the whole week. So thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you all very, very soon.